In this lesson, we will analyse the power of an FAQ section, meaning the frequently asked questions of your customers. The FAQ page, when it's well designed, represents an added value for your e-commerce, and it is a tool with which you can increase the conversions, responding in real time to the doubts of your customers during the evaluation stage of the product or the purchase process, and reduce the job of customer service, avoiding and responding to all most common questions that users have in a specific page. Where to start when putting together a truly effective page of frequent questions? First of all, you certainly have to find out which frequent questions can be useful on your website. For this, you should analyse the emails that the customer service receives, the searches made by users on your website, the most frequent questions related to the products and services you offer, and the assistance requests that prove that there are flaws or shortcomings on your website. This analysis will give you a first tip of what needs to be investigated in depth through the Frequent Asked Questions section. When selecting the questions, you need to focus on their relevance and in the customer's needs, not in the ones of your company. You don't need to use the frequent questions to talk about your values, the mission of the company, the satisfaction of the customer. Frequent questions should be useful, not advertising. Imagine frequent questions like an instruction manual for your e-commerce. In the instruction manual of a TV, you won't find the mission of the company or testimonials from customers about how fantastic it is to watch a series on a 60-inch screen, but you will find the instructions or the solution to the most common problems. Once you've selected the questions, what you need to understand is how to organise the FAQ page, how to show the questions and answers on page in such a way for your customers to easily locate and read them. Many web pages make the mistake of listing frequent questions on a page, simply one below the other, in an infinite list of questions and answers, as you can see in the web page of Home Science Tools. We see a really large page that contains a lot of frequent questions, and personally I have to say that the idea of finding information in this page causes me anxiety. How can a user find the answer to that specific question in a sea of words like this? A page of questions like this is useless because, as a customer, I am overwhelmed with information and I don't have the time nor the mood to look for what I need. It's discouraging. So how should the FAQs be added to the page? There is no unique method, and the decision also depends on the quantity of the questions and its content. The first advice is, without a doubt, to only show the questions on the page. Let's see an example in the web page of Malasso. As we can see here, the content of the page is significantly reduced, and it's much easier to concentrate on the questions and find the information that I'm looking for. If I find the question I'm interested in, I click on it and it opens a sliding panel that contains the answer to that specific question. Let's see a similar example of the page of frequent questions of Fitvia web page. Here I can also find only the listed questions, and when I click on them I can read the answers. An interesting thing that you can see on this page is that the frequent questions are divided into categories: general information, products, shipping, problems with the order, etc. This takes me to the second piece of advice, which is to divide the most frequently asked questions into categories. If you analyse the frequent questions of your e-commerce, you will surely notice that common topics appear. Probably many questions refer to only one subject or product category, and it is possible that many questions are related to each other. When dividing the questions into categories and organising the page to improve this distinction, you get a more useful and functional result. You can use a simple and basic division, like the one we can see here in the page of Banana Beauty. As you can see, this FAQ page is divided into columns. each block of questions is inserted in a grey rectangle and is represented by the title of the category, some questions and a button that leads the user to the page that contains all the frequently asked questions of that specific category. In the storage page of Toshiba, under the title Frequent Questions, we find three categories: General Appearances, Products and Company. And by clicking on these categories, I can see the questions related to the category that I selected below. You can also use a more graphic solution to visually represent the categories. For example, the frequently asked questions of Pulte's e-commerce are divided according to the type of product and are represented by photos that guide the user to choose the frequent questions of the product he wishes to consult in an easy way. Tazenis splits up the frequently asked questions into categories represented by icons, and by clicking on an icon, it shows the questions in that category. By clicking on the question, the user can read the answer. As you can see, Tazenis has many frequent questions, and if they hadn't used this categorization system and display, some questions would have been very difficult for the customer to find because the page would contain a lot of text and information. The third piece of advice refers to the typographic style of the frequent questions. By style, we refer to the graphic style and therefore to the font size, colour, vertical space, text alignment of the text of the questions and answers. An effective style can help the page look more pleasing aesthetically and, above all, improve the legibility of the contents and help the user when consulting the page. If we look at the frequently asked questions of the web page New Chapter, we can see that the questions are inserted in the form of a list. But this doesn't seem to be enough, since the question is not highlighted in relation to the question and the result. This way, the page does not seem to have a hierarchy of contents. It looks visually plain. First, we have to make sure that questions and answers have two different and unique styles. The question should have a different colour and, if possible, also a bigger size than the answers. Let's see how the same page would look if the questions were shown with an orange font and a little bigger than the answer. This is the result. It's quite obvious in which of the two versions it is easier to locate the questions and consequently the corresponding answers. Let's see a different style example of frequently asked questions. On the web page of elverline.com, an online hotel reservation service, the style of the frequently asked questions can be improved to make it easier to read for the user. Why? Firstly, the page is very long and shows all questions and answers. And, as we said, it's better to only show the questions to save space and help the customer to find the question he has in mind quicker. It's also better to increase the font size a bit. That is too small. We can also add some colour to the page, increasing the colour contrast between the questions and answers. I'm going to use a dark red colour. We can also improve the line height, the vertical space, because the text seems too crowded, the lines are too close. And finally, we can add icons that visually represent the sections and give the layout a more modern look. This is the result that we get. If we compare the two pages of frequent questions, we can see that these changes are enough to give the page a more organised and readable result. I would like to finish this lesson with some small writing tips for your frequently asked questions. How should you formulate your frequent questions? Write the questions as if the customer is personally asking you, like this. How can I check my order status? Reply in the second person and in a direct and concise form. Make your replies short and simple. You can check your order status in the My Orders page of your account. Click here to access your account. Reply by redirecting the user to the following action, making sure that with a simple click he will directly get to the page that he's looking for. When it's possible, and especially when it is necessary, add a call to action, a CTA. If the answer indicates the customer to go to a specific page of the web, as in the previous case, add a link to that page. Example: can I return the product I bought online to your physical store? Answer: you can return the products to any store of our chain. Click here to find the closest store with our store locator. And the link "click here" will take him to the store locator page, where he can locate the closest store to him. Even more interesting are the calls to action that can lead your customer to buy a product or a service. Frequently asked questions can help you generate sales. Example of question: what is the expected delivery time? Reply: the standard delivery due date is 3 to 5 days. Our express service, however, guarantees the delivery within 24 hours. Click here for more information. This way, we give the user an answer in the first part and offer a paid service on the second one, without annoying the customer with slogans or frustrating advertisements. We simply give him useful information. If he wishes to receive the product fast, we have a service that could interest him. As you can see, there is great potential in a section of frequently asked questions, and for this reason, I suggest you start organising one in your e-commerce immediately, or if you already have one, improve it by following the examples we saw. We'll see you in our next lesson.